9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Smile. 3, 2.
Hi folks, and welcome to our software demo of our process software. It's called the W5 software, and by now you should be familiar with the W5s in the previous training that you did. There's a quick rundown of what the 5 W's represent. That's activity, the what's, the who's, responsibility, where, locations, when, the time aspect, and which information. So this tool, the software, will help you to read models or build models if you so desire using the 5W approach. And of course, you can also create flow models. My job today is to give you an overview of the software and ensure that you're comfortable operating it, as well as reading models, and as well as some limited ability to build your own software models, process models. So I'm going to jump. I've already opened the software on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see it. It's called the W5. The software has been operating for approximately a decade now. It's in its 6th instance, so it gets upgraded almost every year. And it's pretty robust software. It runs on a Microsoft platform, at the moment on a desktop, which is the preferred way at the moment that people use the software. And it has a very much Microsoft look and feel to it. So if you follow my cursor, you can see it has these ribbons or pull-down menus, just like any Microsoft app. And just like Office, it'll have a file menu. In the file menu, you can start a new project or process model. You can add items, open, close. There's import and export, save as, and printing. So typical of any Office, Microsoft Office application. The home page, the page I'm on now, that tab is active, is really for drawing process models, the 5 W's. I can also have a viewing ribbon, which helps me to zoom in and explore the model, change the format of the model, and set preferences, like the backup and frequency thereof and such. I can also add logos to the models and things of that nature. There's a review ribbon that you can activate as well. And this is really for reporting. Your software is going to come with a basic set of reports. And we believe it's quite imperative to be able to run reports from the software to help improve, understand, and analyze the business. So that's the look and feel of the software. I do encourage you to play with the software and discover some of the features. When I bought my last smartphone, it didn't come with instruction manuals. Seems to be a modern trend. And you'll find there's all kinds of hidden things in the software. You can change fonts and colors and put watermarks in and hyperlinks and on and on and on. As I say, it's been around a while, so there's a lot of kind of functionality that you can discover. But let's get down to basics. And the first thing I'm going to show you is how to add a project folder. Let's add a folder to my Explorer window. I'll explain that. I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to say this is a demo project folder. Demo project folder. And there it's added that to my file structure. So on the top left there, in fact, these little windows can be pinned or unpinned, and you can hide them or show them, and so forth. But I prefer this setup on the top left here. This is my file structure. This is actually on my hard drive. It could be on a shared drive on a network, and I could store the models there for other folks to access if I so desired. And at the bottom here, we have a toolbox, which I'll explain in a minute. So I've now opened a folder, a new project, and what I'd like to do is add a new item. And what I'm going to add is let's call it a demo what model. Okay, and as I said, you should by now have a good understanding of the 5 different models that we build. The first and central model we build is indeed the what model. It's a list of all the activities that you might want to perform in a business or a business area. And what it's now done is it's opened up a toolbox at the bottom here. And in the toolbox it says, really there's only two real symbols here. You can model or describe activities, and you can create a legend. And a legend is simply there to help us if we were to color code the model. Maybe things in blue are corporate standards, or things in red are issues we want to address, and so forth. But nonetheless, really what we're here to do is to build an activity or a what model. And the way we build the model is by clicking the activity icon on the bottom left there. You see it's gone to dark blue. I left click my mouse button, and I'm dragging it onto my canvas, and I'm dropping it onto the canvas. As soon as I do that, it opens up a dialog window. It's called a power builder, and I can start adding information to this model. So in this instance, I'm going to build a very simple model. I'm going to say, make payment is the purpose of this model. If I click OK, it's now given me this what we call purpose statement. And the purpose of the model I'm going to build is to make payments. Now, to complete the model, I'm going to go back to my toolbox, select activity again, and I'm going to drag it on top of the make payment activity or the purpose. If I let go, it gives me my power builder. I'm going to select auto layout, and I'm going to say, what are the tasks I need to do in order to make a payment? I need to approve an invoice, perhaps. I need to ensure funds in the bank account. I need to obtain approval. Maybe I then execute an electronic funds transfer, and I record my payment. So I've just typed in those, and as fast as I can type, it's recorded that information and automatically created what we call the what model. So what this model is telling me is that in my business I want to make payments, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 activities in this particular business that we have to do in order to make a payment. Approve the invoice, ensure we have funds, obtain approval, execute an EFT, and then record that the payment has happened. So that's essentially how we build a what model. It's drag and drop, and we can then go to the next level of detail. I can drag again my activity, drop it on top of activity number 2, and that activity says ensure funds. I'm going to sign on to a bank account. I'm going to select the account that we use for payments, and I'm going to verify funds are available, right? So I've now created 3 sub-activities under ensure funds. There's a typo there. I just go back and fix that quickly. And we're done. Okay, so now I have a more complex model. For this one activity, it's dropped to another level of detail, and it says the way we ensure funds in our business is to sign onto the bank account, select the account, verify that the funds are available. If we do those 3 things, we've ensured funds. So any of these activities could be decomposed or broken down in the same fashion. So just to speed things up here, I will say activity 1, I'll say auto layout again, activity 2, activity number 3. And again, okay, and there we have it. If this is getting too big, I can say, let me fit this to the screen. If I don't like the grid in the background, I can switch it off. So as I said, on this ribbon here, there's all kinds of drawing objects. I can change the layout of the model from hierarchy to waterfall. And I can also click on any one of these activities, and I can look at the properties of that object, the size, the shape, the color. If I right-click on an object, again, there's a whole bunch of activities. We don't have time in this demo to go through all of those options, so I encourage you again to play around. But just to give you a feel, I could go into this activity. I could select the color, let's say, fill color, and I could make it a blue. Okay. If I wanted to, I can further select that object and say I want that object, and that object to be blue, and I can copy the style. So as you get familiar with the software, you'll find all kinds of shortcuts of that nature. I can change fonts. I can say, let's make this bold. Let's make this font size bigger, and so on and so forth. So that's a what model. Also, if you want to change things on the model, let's assume that activity 1 is in the wrong place, and it belongs under that activity. I simply click on that activity, I hold down the left mouse button, I drag onto the activity, I let go, and I redraw, and it's moved that activity over there. And of course, we do have our infamous undo, redo buttons to help us. So very easy to manipulate the software, very quick to build complex hierarchies of activities. And remember, this is all being added into a database as we go. We can add color codes, we can add legends, and so forth. There's also printer options. We can put confidentiality on the model and so forth. So I've just created a what model. I'm going to now move on, and you'll notice once I can build one model in the software, the others are pretty much the same. It's just drag and drop to build a model. But it is important to understand the 5 W's, the who's, the what's, the where's, the when, whiches. So the previous training is quite important if you want to get a handle on how the software operates. Okay, so let's move ahead and add a new item, and I'm going to add a who model. So I'm going to say demo who model, and I now have a new canvas, right? I'm going to take off the grid. I don't want the grid on. I have a new toolbox, and in my toolbox, if I scroll down, I can model organizations or roles. I can model persons and technologies, and of course, I can create a legend as well. So let's build a quick who model. Again, drag and drop. So I'm going to drag on organization. I'm going to drop it, and I'm going to say, this is our accounting practice. So I've now created a firm. I could say this accounting practice consists of maybe 3 accounting divisions. Let's say we have a compliance division. Let's have an advisory and an operations division. And if I press OK, I've now created a little who model showing who does the activities on the what model. Okay. Underneath the advisory here, I'm going to add some roles. I'll say in the operations, in fact, let's go to operations division. Sorry, looks like my caps lock was on. Under operations division, I'm going to say we have a few roles under in that division, and the roles are drag, drop the role on top of the division, automatic layout, and I'm going to say we have an ops manager, we have an IT manager, And we might have facilities and HR manager. So I've just created a bunch of roles, and there they are. If I want to see this in a different view, again, I can switch from hierarchy to a waterfall. But there's my, kind of like my org structure. But if I build this model correctly, I should be asking who does this activity, and then creating the who. Going back to the what model, who does this activity, and creating the who model. And once I've been through all the activities on the what model, and I have at least one who, I will know that this model is particularly complete in terms of performing all the activities on the what model. So that's again an example of a who model. So I now know who does what. I might decide that I want to link these things. I might want to show on my what model who does each activity. And to do that, it's just, there's a couple ways, but one of the more simple ways of doing this is on my file explorer here. I've opened, here's my who model, remember? If I go back, here's my what model. I'm clicking those tabs at the top there. They go, if it's orange, it's active. And I've still got my who model open, and I can simply drag and drop. If I want to say who approves invoice, I can say the ops manager does that. Who obtains approvals? Maybe it's the advisory division. And I'm dragging and dropping, and each time I do that, it's storing that information in the database. So I now know who does this activity. If I click on that little symbol there, it says Ops Manager. So for each one of these activities, I should drag and drop a role or an organization unit, and I now know who does each one of these activities. So at this level, I've now created a what model, I've created a who model, and I've linked them. So I know exactly who does this, who does this, who does this. If I want to see the data, I can just click on here, and it'll show me. So we have two pieces of the puzzle. We now know who does what. And in the same fashion, I can now create additional models, right? As you can see, the process is pretty much the same. I go back to my folder, right-click on the folder, I'm going to add a new item, and this time I'm going to add a where model. So I'm going to say demo where, or location model. That's now given me a new canvas. It's highlighted this tab, and I can start building. And all I can do again on this model is create locations. So I might say South Africa is a location, and start there. And then I can say, where else in South Africa do we operate? And we might have a Western Cape region, perhaps, geography that we operate in. We might have a KZN location, and we might have an Eastern Cape. Let's just stop at those three locations. So I built my where model showing locations, and of course I can break this down and say in the Western Cape we have a Cape Town office, and we have a Durbanville location. I could put physical addresses in there, in fact I should, but I'm starting to build now a hierarchy of all the places where we operate. Okay, so I now know who does what and where. And again, if I want to, remember our what model is central, if I wish to show where I approve invoices, I could say we do that in the Western Cape. I've added that data, so it now knows that this activity, approve invoice, is done, we showed who does it, and we now know it's done in the Western Cape. I can say insure funds, maybe we do that in KZN, maybe we do this in Cape Town, and Durbanville. Okay, so I've added that information to the model, and it's now embedded into the software. So I could now run a report saying who does what, or who uses, or sorry, what happens where, or who's in this location, and so on and so forth, right? So I have 3 models built. I know what happens, who we have in the organization, and where. Almost done. I can go back to my folder, my project folder, and I can now add information. So demo model, and in the demo model, I again get a new canvas and a new toolbox with the symbols we can use. And if you recall from the training, we can model pieces of information. We call those entities. We might have customer entity, might have orders, we might have products, address, and so forth. So I've added these. Remember, this is a network type diagram, so we're looking for all the pieces of information that we need to perform these activities, right? And in the ideal world, if we had time, we'd say, which information do I need to insure funds? Well, I need bank account information, and I need amount, the balance on the account. To obtain approval, I need notification from my manager, perhaps. So I need information about approvals, and so on and so forth. And so we can drive out all the information that's required to perform the activities on the what model. And in the same way as I attached the who's and where's, I can now open this and I can attach information to this model. So I'm dragging and dropping information, and again, it should be storing information. There it is. So I now know record payment is my activity. I know it happens in Durbanville. I know I need product information to do it, and I know the ops manager does this activity. So we're starting to get a complete picture, and as you can see, the product is pretty easy to operate. It's drag and drop, and then of course you just need to keep updating and adding the linkages to your what model. So build the what model first. And there's one more model we could build, but we don't have much time. We could also build a when model. But in the interest of time, let's skip over that. And I'm going to show you one other model, and then I'll show you how you can get samples of this as well as other models. So I've built a set of models here. I've linked them. And the last model that we could build, remember, is our flow. We call it a how model. How do these activities relate to each other, and what does the workflow look like? So if I want to build a flow model on the software, I need to select a level. I need to say I want a flow at a level. Remember, this is called a level 0, my purpose. This level below it is called a level 1, and the activities below that are what we call level 2 activities. And we typically build a level 2 or level 1 model to show the overall flow, usually for management or leadership. And we typically would show the detailed flows to folks in the organization that are actually doing the work, so to speak. In this instance, I'm going to create a very quick flow model with my level 1 activities. So I select the parent. This time I right-click on the mouse. I'm going to say create, and it says create a how model over here. If I click on it, it's going to give me a place to name the model. I'll call it my demo how model. We didn't do when, so I'll take that off. And if I click OK, and we go to fit to screen, it's created a flow model for us. It's actually created a flow But because I don't have much detail, particularly about information or locations, it's built this model with a lot of placeholders. So I can come back and I can add to the model. I could add order, for example, to the model. There I've added order into that green box. So I can attach more data and fill out the model as I go. But let me zoom in so you can get a better picture. Whoops, and take the grid away again. Zoom in. What it's done automatically. These are connectors which we don't need in this instance to connect to other processes. It's taken the activity. There's the first activity, approve invoice. There it is on the what model, approve invoice. On the flow model, the next activity is ensure funds. Go back to my what model, ensure funds, there it is, and so forth. So it's taken those 5 activities and it's created a flow for you automatically. And it's put all the data that we've already entered. It shows me it needs order information to information in to do this activity, and it shows who does this and where they are, right? I can change the size of these boxes if there's not much information, but typically when we build real models, there's quite a lot of information. But I can size this thing and move things around, depict things that happen in sequence, and I can start to denote logic. I can show flows, and I can show things that are conditional. I can show groups of activities and so forth. Again, pretty intuitive stuff, and this kind of complies or is in line with modeling theory or flow diagramming throughout the world. So that's a quick whirlwind tour of the W5 software. My advice is to play with it and to build models quickly. I can also share with you that if you go to over here, look, there's a start page. And in the start page, there's a bunch of existing models. I've got quite a few here. And in this, over here, if you go to sample, it's going to give you a bunch of pre-existing models that you can use as an example. So there's how to operate a lemonade enterprise. There's a sporting event. There's a full position model. And there's going to be a model here, I've already got the placeholder, called Operate Accounting Practice. I don't know if you can see that, Operate Accounting Practice. And this is the template model that we've provided Psycho members with to show all the activities, suggested who's, suggested information, and suggested flows for a typical accounting practice. So you're going to get a complete model already pre-populated, hopefully with best practices, to show everything that needs to occur in your practice. What I do suggest is that when you open this model, you save it as a model on a hard drive. So keep the sample where it is, well, open the sample and then do a save as, just as you would with a Word document or Excel or PowerPoint, and save a copy of the model in your working folder, so to speak. Okay, and that's what I've done here. So I have the Operate Accounting Practice model open, and here's my what model at a very high level. And if I want to understand this model in more detail, I can click on this button and it'll show me all the activities that I need to provide practice solutions. I manage accounts and I provide client solutions. In order to provide client solutions, I could provide accounting services, tax services, payroll services, risk advisory, regulatory advisory services, workers' comp, and so on and so forth. Okay, and each one of these I can in turn break down into subsequent layers of detail. Okay, so that's all my business side of the equation, so to speak. And on this side, I have support my accounting practice, and I have a set of activities there in order to support your practice. To support your practice operation, you might need to market it. You might need to do internal accounting, in other words, your books. You have to perform IT services in today's world, office management, legal services, human resource, office space and facilities, and so on and so forth, right? So we now have a model showing you what you need to do to operate an accounting practice. Each one of these can be broken down into further detail, okay? And you'll get a very comprehensive, I'm not sure how many, but there's probably some hundreds of activities if I were to open all of these up at once. But the way to navigate this is by zooming in and zooming out, or clicking on these arrows or these plus signs. And when it gets too cluttered, you can simply redraw on the home page. Just redraw. It'll give you a warning and say, yes, redraw it, right? So that's the example of the Operate Accounting Practice What model. I'd encourage you to go through it. You can obviously print this out. I'll show you in a minute how to print. And I could look at a Who model for Operate an Accounting Practice. And to operate an accounting practice, here are the suggested roles that you might have or want to have. Clients and practice solutions. So these are all the Who's, the organizations and roles that you'll interact with. There's also an information model, and there's a whole set of flow models to show you the workflow at a certain level. So that's your practice in a box. As I say, you're gonna find it on your start page under samples. And if you open this, I advise you to create a copy or save as I did, and then you're welcome to start playing with it and adjusting it to suit or customize it to your exact practice. You may have different roles, you may have different activities, you may want to delete some of the services if you don't operate them, and you can play with it and to your heart's content, and obviously try and optimize the model to be more efficient. The way you're going to print your model, for any model, if I so desire, I can go to a Who model quickly. If I select my activities, I can go here. I can select all activities on my home page. If I right click, I can copy as an image, and I could then go and drop this into a Word document, for example, or PowerPoint, or an Excel, or whatever, right? So there we go. I can cut and paste. Or if I'm interested in the data, I can go to Review, and I can go to Reports, Basic Reports, and I can start printing various types of reports. A matrix report, relationship reports, object notes. If you've added, you can add notes to the models. You can add metrics to the models. You can do a number of different things. And I should have a pre-populated model. Here we go. Here's a model I did earlier, and it shows me all of the roles in the Operate Accounting Practice, and it shows me all of the activities. And here it shows me there's an intersection point here. A partner, in other words, is responsible for the activity of operating the accounting practice. So if I were to fill in all of those relationships, I'd get a pretty comprehensive view of who does what, and that would help me balance my workload. Okay, so to summarize and to wrap up, the software is called the W5. It's a Windows runs on a Windows-based platform. It's a drawing tool, and you can add the 5 W's, the who, what's, where's, when's, and whiches. It has an explorer to store your models. You could put those on a server so other people can access them and work with them as well. You have a toolbar whenever you go into a specific model type, it will change your toolbar, and you can start to add notes, you can add metrics, you can put scorecards. On the Who model, for example, I could add education qualifications, tons and tons of data that can be added to the models to make them more and more meaningful to you. And this should become, hopefully, something you can use when you onboard new people to show them what's going on, the services you provide and how you do them, the procedures. And as you've seen on the previous education, we also have certain extracts that you can run that will give you workflows or work instructions or documents in a job description format and so forth, if you want to use this as a central management tool in your practice. So as I said, we've given you this common library of all the things you need to do. It's in the start page. Once you find it there, if you open it, please save as and put it onto your hard drive or onto a server and play with that model, so you always have the sample model here. Please keep it pure, because from time to time we're going to be updating that model with new regulatory requirements or industry requirements perhaps, or we can highlight risk areas and compliance areas and controls even. So that model in the sample folder will change as we introduce more detail to the models. And under your BML files, you can on your own server or hard drive store your operating model. So that's a whirlwind tour of the W5 software. As I said, as you get familiar with it, you're going to find all kinds of capabilities. Right click on objects and play with it. You can change colors, you can do hyperlinks, you can link to other systems, you can link to the cloud, all kinds of stuff. So I do hope this has given you a quick whirlwind tour of how to operate the software. We do have support on our website. If you email us, feel free to do so. If you need any support or help or have any questions, we're more than happy to answer them. And we hope that you get tremendous value out of the software. We know globally there's thousands of copies of the software installed. Some of the biggest banks in the world use it, some small organizations use it, and it really helps you to understand who does what with which information, where and when, helps you with your workflows, helps you to optimize, and it's pretty, as you can see, easy to use, drag and drop, and easy to present and to copy and show images or leverage for presentations and such. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope that's given you sufficient knowledge to use this or to try and use the software. And please feel free to experiment and try some of the features. Wish you well with your modeling and hope to see you all in the future. Take care.